Cheers. Nice choice from Kazu. I've had this before, actually. Kagatobi Ai. It's really good.
Have we had this on the channel before?
Not on the channel, but Kagatobi is a very famous brand.
I was going to say, I feel like I've had this before, and I liked it then, and I like it now. This is good.
Well, Kagatobi is a very popular brand, so that's probably why. But yeah, I had this a while ago. It's from Ishikawa, right? Here, now I have to look for the address. Crap. Oh yeah, it's Kanazawa. It's from Kanazawa. Ishikawa. Great. Well, thank you, Kazu.
Yeah, thank you.
And so Kazu wanted us to talk about comedy today, and what we're going to do. And I actually, at first I was thinking, man, what am I going to talk about this topic? But actually, there's a lot to share.
There really is.
Yeah.
I feel like the number one thing that I feel like really separates like American comedy with Japanese comedy is what you just mentioned right before we started this podcast about like every single comedian in Japan has like a catchphrase or like a thing that they're associated with, right?
Let's give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. You said I said that.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, so you said that I said that before the show, but you said that before the show. So I'm saying that idea comes from you.
Okay. Well, yes.
Yes.
So yeah.
I said Japan's comedy really hasn't changed since the 70s. That's what I said.
Fair.
Yeah.
But no, like you think about it, right? When you think of like think of like a lot of the comedians that you see on TV right now, like everyone's got their shtick, their thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of that kind of comes from the fact that I think a lot of Japanese comedy is very visual.
Yeah.
And I think American comedy is more, I don't think mental is the right way to say it, but like vocal.
Yeah. I would say so. I need to drink more sake.
Dying?
I am dying. No, I told you before, it's like I get a little bit of a cough or a throat thing, and then I'm fine, but then my wife and my kids catch it, and then they just pass it back to me.
Yeah.
But no, so I feel like I feel like in Japan, the comedy is a lot more rigid. Like the formats of comedy are much more rigid. Here, like you have your manzai, and like you have to do, like, I feel like when I watch American stand-up, first of all, it's always one person there.
Yeah.
And they're kind of, they're a person. They use their real name or what you think is their real name.
Yep.
But in Japan, it's always a two people, a pair, and they both have a game they have like a stage name, and they're characters. They're not actually like, they don't seem like real people. Do you know what I mean?
In a lot of ways, yeah, sure.
Yeah, like they always wear the same costume, and stuff like that.
Yes, same costume, and there's like I was saying before, there's like things that are associated to that character.
Yeah,
So
right.
they might have like a catchphrase, or there might be like a bit that they do.
Yeah.
I will say though, I don't 100% think that American comedy is not rigid though.
Okay, what makes you say that?
The reason why I say this is, if you look at American comedy, and I'm not talking about like primetime television, like you know, family comedy show. No. I'm talking about like actual comedians, right? First of all, there's a very clear pipeline that American comedians will go through, right? It's stand-up comedy. They do stand-up comedy at shows, and the routines of stand-up comedy are basically all the same, despite the jokes being different.
Okay, can you explain that?
So yeah, so it'll start with like a build-up, right? And then it'll go into the crescendo. There's the punchline, and then there's rapid-fire one-liners after that, and then it goes into another build-up.
Okay.
And if you look at, like, if you break down comedy routines for stand-up comedy, they more or less all follow that formula.
Oh, that's interesting. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I haven't watched too much manzai comedy in Japan.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of it is a bunch of just random skits that people do. Yeah, they're not necessarily connected with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not really in deep with comedy here in Japan, but from kind of like an outsider's point of view, that's kind of the thing that I got.
Yeah, and I feel like like I said before, I feel like Japanese comedy relies a lot more on slapstick comedy.
Yeah, slapstick or like at least a lot of visual stuff, right? Because it's like costumes and facial, like especially facial expressions.
Oh yeah, right.
Man.
That too. Yeah.
Facial expressions are huge here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way back to kabuki. You know, they paint their face so you get the exaggerated.
Yeah, exactly. And something I don't know why, but like eyebrows. I always get drawn to eyebrows.
Yeah.
Like in comedy sketches.
What I want to know is why is it that like in manzai sketches or when people are put on makeup and stuff, they always put on like huge eyebrows. Have you ever noticed that?
They do that, or they do like the comically large, like taped on eyebrows.
Yeah,
you know
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
is it because Japanese people normally don't have eyebrows or something?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm really interested about that because you would think like, okay, I understand from a long time ago because the materials probably just weren't available, right? But like now we're at a point where, if you're trying to get like a really professional makeup job where it looks like, you're trying to change your face, you can get that and it looks authentic, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just actually curious what the point of it is because like from my perspective, and I think from a more Western view, people really care about immersion.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're going to be playing a character, you need to look like you're the real character.
Yeah.
Right? I think a lot of like American viewers will look at that and go, yeah, of course, like if this guy's going to be, playing an idiot or something, he needs to like really look like an idiot. He doesn't need to look like a guy who's like pretending to be an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting from that perspective for me.
Yeah, it's funny because like, so this is actually connected with anime, I think, because I remember I was watching like a good anime movie, and I'm not a huge fan of, I don't really watch anime that much, but I forget what movie it was. It was a pretty deep one. Yeah. But I remember talking with my dad about it. He's like, yeah, Arthur, it's just, it's a picture, I'd rather it be real characters because it's more realistic.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking about like, what's on the screen? Maybe they're physical bodies, but it's all made up. Like that's not real. But I guess it's easier to trick yourself into thinking that it's real. But in Japan, people don't really need to be tricked. That's why like anime is so much more popular here because people are more willing to suspend their disbelief.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
Yeah. Because it goes back to like I think maybe the younger generation being raised on social media is a little bit different, but especially like with the older generation, when you look at like when I think about comedy in America, like I said in the beginning, it's easy to think that those are how they actually are in their everyday life.
Very much.
Yeah, you think that's who they are, right?
Yeah.
But then in Japan, because everything is so outlandish from the makeup to the costumes, like that's not who they really are in real life, but you still enjoy it.
That's a really good point.
But I feel like an American person seeing that would think, that's just too fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
I want to know for you though, so who are some comedians or comedy groups or things, comedy related things that you like in the States?
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle
and Bill Burr are hands down my two favorite comedians.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Yeah.
Dave
Chappelle, I mean, his old comedy, his new comedy, the man is a genius. I mean, he's had some pretty controversial opinions, but I mean, for the most part, I try to not look at artists for their personal lives. I mean, if the guy's a criminal, it's like, that's another thing, but but the guy's just an absolute genius. His comedy is timeless and really, really funny. And then Bill Burr is just a pissed off New Yorker.
He's from Boston, actually.
Okay, whatever. East Coast, they're all the same.
Joe Rogan and Bill Burr are both from Boston, man.
Okay, but he's a pissed off East Coast guy.
Yeah, he is.
And that's it. That's who he is. He's just pissed off all the time. And it's really funny because I feel like, especially like a lot of American men can really like resonate with him.
Yeah.
So, I just really find the guy really funny.
Yeah, I listened to Bill Burr's podcast a few times, and there are times where you can really see like he is in character, and then when he's not in character, and he's like an actually really chill, low key guy who loves his daughter, but then when he's on stage, he just complains about the world. Like, what the f is all this about?
My effing wife.
Yeah.
Just shut up. It's like, holy
but
crap,
you actually
man.
love her in real life.
He seems like a good guy in real life, but But yeah, so it's kind of funny. Like, who are you like really into as far as American comedians?
Yeah, so to be honest, I don't really follow comedy in Japan or in the States that much.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this. One of my favorite comedians is Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, dude, his early comedy routines were really funny.
Yeah.
Where he'd just be playing music with the postcards.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the reason why I love him so much is him and I think Will Ferrell. I don't really know much about the stand-up world, but like movie comedians.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say that is because I really loved the Funny or Die website.
Yeah.
And Zach Galifianakis had Between Two Ferns on that. Have you seen that show?
Is that where he interviews celebrities?
Yeah, yes. Between Two Ferns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are really funny.
He's like, I remember just one time he was interviewing Brad Pitt, and one time he said, "So Brad Pitt, when did you realize that people just like you for your looks and you're a really shitty comedian or actor?" And he just asked like outlandish questions like that. But
he interviewed Obama too.
He did, and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Dude, he just
a
lot of things. But so I like him. To be honest, one of the reasons I got interested in him is because he's Greek too. And then I found out he's really funny.
What gave that away?
I don't know. Maybe his super long name. It's. I just got to say this, man. It's really funny with like the Greek American group because everybody has names that are like 10 letters long, and I'm Greek too. But my last name is 5 letters.
Yeah.
And they're just like, Zetas, is that even really a Greek name? I'm sorry, it's not Donkadakopoulos or whatever.
Donkadakopoulos.
Monophyllakopoulos. Yeah. Anyways. But yeah, so I think actually Zach Galifianakis is a good example of American humor.
Sure.
Whereas compared to Japan, because I feel like, can you explain what like the Between Two Ferns skit, like the structure of it a bit?
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of a parody of Hollywood interviews, right? And so like one of the things people are obsessed with in America is Hollywood actors' lives, right? And so it's really common for they'll get in like the studio chairs, right? And it'll be like an interview and like a movie star or a famous person, and the person will kind of just be like, yeah, so what was it like while you were filming XYZ movie? And they just ask some like really basic questions like that. And the actor gives their opinions and people are like, wow, they're so amazing. I love Hollywood actors. I hate them all.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he takes that and does the exact same atmosphere, except asks like really offensive questions.
Yeah, really offensive
like,
and rude
when
questions.
did you realize you were a failed actor?
Yeah, right,
like,
exactly.
You know, like questions like that where it's like it just stops and makes them like, what?
Yeah. Now, the best part about it though is that the actors coming on know that it's a joke.
Yeah.
But the key thing for them is to not laugh. And so you can see them trying hard not to laugh and say something back.
Yeah. Like, it's really good, to be honest. He's had some really, really clever actors and actresses on there that have like, you know, like just kind of zinged one back at him. It's like, I don't know, when did you realize you were fat?
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know, stuff like that.
Like, yeah.
So, like it's really fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So a good thing about that is, you know, kind of like what I tell my friends is that American humor is really, you say something where if it was true, it would be incredibly offensive and super rude.
Yeah.
But you know it's a joke, so you laugh.
Yeah.
Because that's actually the humor that me and my friends have too.
Yeah. I think a really big characteristic of American comedy is being offensive.
Yeah.
You will very frequently see racist jokes, sexist jokes, political jokes, you know, jokes talking about like violence or death. Very, very common. Yeah. And there's kind of, I mean, obviously, you know, people can say really offensive stuff that takes things over the line, but for the most part, I think in the comedy world, most people have kind of like a tolerance level. It's like, okay, well, I'm coming here to laugh about offensive things. Yeah. So if they say something that offends me, I'm going to laugh about it. Right. And I think that's really unique to American comedy.
Yeah. I think American comedy is a space where people can hear the thoughts that they're not allowed to share themselves. Yeah. And then it's kind of cathartic. It's kind of relaxed. It kind of like relieves stress that way. But it's funny because, I was born in Germany, right? Yeah. And I moved over to the United States, and I wasn't used to that kind of like hate on each other things, like humor. I remember when I'd say, hey man, like I gave a friend a candy bar. How does this taste? And they're like, this is disgusting. What?
Hey guys, if you've watched this far, you're going to love our Austin and Arthur friends.
In the Austin and Arthur friends, you're going to really improve your English listening. And I mean a lot.
Yeah. So for each episode, you'll get English and Japanese subtitles, so you can check your listening and comprehension.
You'll also get access to a members-only community where you can talk with us, the both of us. Mainly me, right?
No, definitely not. For more info, click on the link here, or in the description box of this video.
Thanks for being our friend. Woo! I have no friends. They're like, no, I'm just kidding, man. What's the deal? And that's like how me and my friends are. And, I got so used to that when I first came to Japan and someone like got some food with me, like we went to get some food, and they showed me this restaurant. And they're like, how is it? I'm like, it's horrible. Yeah. They're like, what? They looked like they were about to cry. And I was like, oh shit. It's that kind of humor.
Yeah. So like for me, I feel like I've really struggled with resonating with Japanese comedy.
Yeah.
But there have been like some people that I've really been into. This guy's like super old now, but I remember like when I first came over here, so there was a comedian who went by Hard Gay.
Oh, and wasn't he on like the Simpsons? Not the Simpsons, South Park.
I'm pretty sure he was. Like this guy like ended up being world famous. So one of the things that's really interesting about Japanese comedy, because a lot of people say that Japan's like really like backwards and old fashioned when it comes to representing gay people.
Yeah.
But that really hasn't been the case with comedy. Like there's tons of gay people and trans people in comedy here.
It's really weird.
And it's not even a big deal.
Yeah, it's like what you're saying, it's really funny because a lot of people talk about how, gay marriage is not legal in Japan, and people say it's really regressive.
Yeah.
But then there's no way that Matsuko Deluxe could ever exist in America.
Oh God, no. And here's the crazy thing about Matsuko is like Matsuko, like the personality of Matsuko isn't like centered around being trans.
Yeah.
It's that, like you watch them in like all the episodes that they're showed, and like the conversation's never about that. It's about Matsuko going and like, eating a bunch of food, or like just doing some other crap, right? And so if anything, I feel like Japan's like really progressive in that instance.
Yeah, because it's funny because I remember, when I first saw Matsuko Deluxe, or this was before Matsuko, I think, back in like 2007 or something, and I remember seeing someone on the show talking with my homestay mother.
There we go.
And there we go, my house mother.
My house mother.
Can you say that again?
My house mother. You sound like a nerd, man.
I'm sorry, man. My homestay mother. And I was just like, oh, is that person gay? And they're like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, I mean, people know, but it's like, it just doesn't matter, so you don't really think about it, right? It's just like, oh, it's just Matsuko, right?
Yeah. Whereas like in the States, I feel like identity politics is so important that if you're gay and you're a comedian, you need to be a gay comedian that talks about gay stuff.
You all the time, right? And if you're trans, it's like that's your entire identity. I am just doing trans stuff all the time.
Yeah, right.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, so that's one of the things that I really liked. A big reason that really like attracted me to Hard Gay's comedy was I was going to say,
just love when you say hard gay. That's
but what really attracted me to his comedy is I was really into Jackass.
Oh, Jackass, yeah,
right.
The TV show
Jackass. And so basically, those guys go do like really wild stuff, and their comedy's kind of like a little bit more dark humor, where they kind of just do
pranks on people,
right?
Yeah.
And Hard Gay's not as crazy as they are, but it's his comedy was kind of like the same thing, where he would just like show up in random places in Japan and be like, "Oh, the gay dayo," and like it would start playing like Ricky Martin, and he would just go dance with like tight leather pants, and it was really funny. There's still like a soft place in my heart for like that kind of
comedy. There's a soft place in your heart for hard gay.
For hard gay. Yeah, exactly.
I like the contrast.
That should be our thumbnail.
I have a soft place for hard gay. But what is it? So I only knew hard gay's like his appearance. I never actually watched his stuff. Yeah. But one comedy group that I really liked when I first started learning Japanese was a group called Ramenz, and they were really popular in like the early Heisei era. Like all their shows are really like early 90s, whatever. And my favorite series by them was a series of videos called The Japanese Tradition, Nihon no Katachi, where they make these instructional videos about Japanese culture or various aspects of Japanese culture, like sushi, chopsticks, bowing, but half of it is a joke. Okay. And so like they have the setup, the production value is really nice. It looks like something NHK put out for foreigners coming to Japan or something. Yeah. And they have a woman narrator and stuff, but they say things like sushi wa Nihon no daihou teki na snack desu. Nihonjin wa mainichi tabete Like they eat it every day, right? And it's just like they have like, you see the salt there? That's for you to eat after you eat your sushi or something like that, But it was funny because like when I first showed those videos to my Japanese friends, first of all, none of them laughed. And they all got kind of offended, being like, "Nande Nihon banka ni shiten no?" Like, why are you making fun of Japan? Because they thought a non-Japanese person had made it. But then when I showed them that it was like this Ramenz group, they're like, "Huh? Why would a Japanese person do this?" Whereas like in America, it's like you make fun of yourself and you make fun of everyone around you. You know?
Yeah. Oh man, dude, do you want to talk about that Golden Eggs group you introduced to me?
Dude, yeah. So, yeah. First of all, bra janai. It's not a bra. But yeah,
why are you wearing a bra?
Yeah, I think one thing that we haven't talked about much is internet humor. Have you ever seen like internet comedy stuff on Japan?
So I mean, we talked about this in a previous episode, how like internet sketch comedy kind of took like a while for it to like appear here. Yeah. I feel like in the US, I mean, you can look at like the late 90s and there was like flash animation and stuff. And I think it started to pick up here in Japan, or at least I started noticing it like right around like TikTok and like all these like YouTube shorts and like that kind of thing. That's when I really started noticing it here.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with the introduction of Instagram and TikTok and all those things, I think it's gotten a lot easier. But just to throw out a couple things, I hope no one loses respect for me because of this, but they probably will. But like,
I mean, they would have to have respect for you to begin with.
See, this is American humor, guys. This is American humor. That's true. No one respects me. I just want to tell you.
No one respects me.
I want to talk about Monty Python, but that's British comedy. But anyways, I just want to I'll get into the internet things, but just you saying that, I just want to tell everybody a card that one of my best friends gave me on my 24th birthday. Mm-hmm. It was one of my best friends from high school. We hung out all the time. And for my 24th birthday, he gave me a card. And on the front, it said, "To a wonderful grandson." And then when I opened it, it said, "You're garbage." Like that was the card he gave me. But then he gave me one of my favorite movies that's actually, it's really hard to get. It's very expensive. Like it was a DVD that was like $50. Yeah. Really expensive. Yeah. But like, so he gives me this card that's super rude, but he gives me like the gift that I really like. And, that's kind of the humor. But if you, for you, Austin, though, I really want you to see Golden Eggs, like we talked, like I showed you before. But then also, I really want you to watch, I forget the guy who made it, but there's a series called Salaryman Man.
Salaryman Man.
Because it's Salaryman Man. It's like a superhero who's a salaryman
but he's also like Superman.
Yeah. But it's not even like a serious thing because he just wears a suit. But the whole thing about it is it's like a superhero short, but everyone has like zero energy. So like
So it's like Gudetama?
Yeah, it's probably like Gudetama, yeah. So like, cause like the main character is like, I'm going to throw you off this building. And then the other guy who's going to get thrown off says, oh no, I need someone to save me. Yeah, so that's like one of my favorite things. But, there we go. Yeah, comedy. But so have you like never so when I know you said you're not very well versed in Japanese comedy, but what's like Japanese comedians or Japanese comedy that comes to mind when you think of that topic?
To be honest, like I think of a lot of like the Don't Laugh game shows, and there's been a lot of them over the years. But like when I think of like Japanese comedy, I'm not even gonna say that I think of that. I think pretty much all Westerners think about that because that's kind of the comedy that like escapes Japan and kind of gets spread around the world.
Or those games, those like crazy
extreme elimination challenge.
Yeah.
You know about that?
Yeah,
I'm sure the name is completely different in Japanese.
It's Takeshi's Castle.
Oh, Takeshi's Castle.
Beat to Takeshi's does it. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So that show is legendary.
That was my first introduction to Japanese comedy.
Same here. Yeah. Same here because it played on Adult Swim, I think, right?
And also it also played on like Spike TV or something
like that, right? And it was hilarious because they would show the actual episodes, but they were all dubbed
incorrectly.
But yeah, they were incorrectly. Like they would just get two guys doing voiceovers, but like the guys weren't paying attention to like what anyone was actually saying, and they would just make stuff up.
Yeah. It's like, how are you doing today? Well, my wife just left me. Yeah. And then
well, that's great, Phil. Let's go back to the game.
Yeah, and then like they'd interview the people before they go on the obstacle course. How do you feel? I'm about to pee my pants. You know, that's definitely not what they did. You know.
Yeah. So it was really funny, and it was really well done. So like when I think of that, I think of like this is really old. I don't even know what show it's from. It's probably from like 20 years ago, to be honest. But they have these guys in like a school library, and they're all dressed up like high school students, right? They're not. They're all adults, but they're all like sitting at like a long table, and there's like a card that like they have to do various pranks, and no one can laugh while they're doing the pranks. So like, you know, they'll draw a card and a guy has to take like a full bite out of like a wasabi plant. You know, they'll get another one where you know, somebody will like fart into a balloon, and then the other guy has to like inhale it, and no one can laugh.
I'm laughing already,
right? And so it's like, you know, if they end up laughing, like they'll come over with like a bamboo stick and it's like beat the guy in the back, and no one can laugh during that part too. So like a lot of like comedy like that, which honestly isn't really that big here.
Well, but, in the States, no, it's not big here.
I mean, it's not that big here, but like, I think whenever someone thinks about Japanese comedy or comedy, that's what they think.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because do we actually have in the States? Do we actually have those kinds of like joke game shows where people just make asses out of themselves? No. Yeah, that's like a uniquely Japanese.
That's a very uniquely Japanese thing. Like I'll tell you one that I distinctly remember, and like I said, I have no idea what show this was from. This was back when I was in high school. And what we would do during homeroom, because we had access to computers in my homeroom classes, like all of my friends and I would just type on Google like Japanese comedy prank show. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I remember this one. So this guy was up in like Nagano at a ski resort. And inside the ski resort, it was on top of the mountain. There's like an onsen in the hotel. And this guy just like sits down in the onsen, and then all of the walls and everything fall out. And it turns out like his bath has skis on it. And he's just going down the mountain like naked in this onsen, like, oh my God, just like going down the ski. Yeah. And so like he eventually like the thing like loses control and he ends up flying out of the onsen, and this dude's just buck naked like on a ski resort mountain. It's just like, it was the funniest thing ever. It was so crazy to see. And it's like that kind of stuff I think is like really what Japan's famous for, like in the world.
Yeah, the thing, the really famous thing that I remember doesn't hold a candle to that, by the way, but is when like you have the wall with like Tetris shapes coming out of it, and the people have to match.
Yeah, no, I mean that show still exists today.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, that still goes on as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they'll have like the most ridiculous shapes too.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun. God, man, this is why we need our own like Jamie, so we can like pull the screen up like.
You know
right
what
here.
I'm thinking about doing?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about using ChatGPT now, where we'll say, "Hey, ChatGPT, please bring up all the things that we talked about in this episode," and then we can easily like put them in the video that way.
That would be a good idea, because it would be really fun to really like share that experience with people, especially like when we talk about this kind of stuff, or you know, stuff that happened like 20 years ago.
Yeah, especially for our younger audience.
Yeah,
all,
for sure.
All 5 of them. But
5 of them. Yeah.
No, we looked. Our audience skews to like 40, 45, whatever. But
we got a lot of young people in our Bonshakus though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude, this has been great.
Yeah, this is fun.
Like I said, I was thinking, how are we going to talk about comedy? But
yeah, I was really worried about this too, because I'm like, dude, I do not feel like an expert with Japanese comedy. And then it's like I sit down and actually think about it. It's like, okay, actually, you know what? I do know some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So Kazu, thank you for the sake, which by the way, we finished almost all of it.
Yeah.
And thank you for the topic. This was definitely not a topic we probably would have chosen for a long time.
Yeah.
But it was a good one.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to send more sake our way, we have an Amazon wish list, and you can send a little message with it telling us like the episodes you want.
Yeah.
And was it Kazu's other episode? We actually already filmed it, so we can't do it again. Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
This was
all
good.
right, I'll see you around, man.
Yep.